Hi there, it's Chloe from the Riverscapes Assessment and Monitoring Laboratory, and in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how you can get zoom-based sizing for point geometries for web symbology. So I have an example prepared here. Whenever you go into a layer, you always have to tell it to zoom back to your data. A little bit annoying. I've just applied some graduated symbology for the colors here. Doesn't really matter. This isn't for anything, but what we care about is this radius property. So you can set your radius to just be one single value, or down here you can click Style across Zoom Range. So right now we have two stops, one at 0 zoom, setting the size to 5 pixels, and then 22 zoom, also size 5 pixels. So we want 5 stops total, so I'm going to add 3. And then what we want these values to be is 10, 11, 13 and a half. Let me check what the other ones are. Okay, 15, and then we'll keep 22. So then I want to adjust these sizes, so I just click on the pixel and it'll pull up this little box. I'm going to set this first one to 1.5, and then this next one will be 2.5, then 3.5, then 4.5, and 5.5. And that is it. It is really simple to do this in the user interface. So now that I am satisfied with my color, my radius, I can now export this layer. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll open it in VS Code. Okay, here is that style JSON file, and then I also have opened the symbology template file. So, like it says, I'll put the MapBox JSON here. So, between layers, if I click on this opening bracket, it'll show me the corresponding closing bracket. So I'm going to select everything and copy it and paste it here. So we can see our circle radius property has this interpolate linear zoom, and starting at zoom level 10, size will be 1.5, then 11, 2.5, 13.5, 3.5, 15, 4.5, 22, 5.5. So on the documentation page, I do have this for you to copy and paste. If you were working off of an existing symbology file and you wanted to add this zoom-based sizing, there's a couple things. First, you might not have this circle radius property if it wasn't edited at all in the MapBox UI, then it just has a default and it won't show up in the JSON file. So you'll have to find within layer styles this paint, and then after circle color, you can see where this closing bracket is. You'll want to put a comma there, hit enter, and then you can paste this circle radius property. And it's pretty simple to do. And then if you want different point sizes for different classes, that's a little bit more complicated. So let's go back to the MapBox UI and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, we're back in MapBox with our same layer. Let's go to this color property, and I've decided that I want this class from 0 to 5 to actually be smaller points. So I'm going to take this layer and I am going to switch this to HSL and change this to transparent, which is 0, 0, 0, and then it will let me add another 0. So so it becomes HSLA. So I'm going to copy this to the upper limit of the class, and there we go, they've become invisible. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer just by right-clicking. So we have our original layer and a copy. I'm going to call this regular points. This isn't a necessary step, but I think it's a really good idea to stay organized. And then this will be small points. You can see I've done this before. And the order of these doesn't really matter. So now we're in our small points. I'm going to reassign a red color. I like using hex values. And copy that. Didn't seem to have stayed. One sec. Gotta love MapBox. Okay, I got it to work. So we're on this small points layer. I am going to just actually delete the rest of these, almost the rest of these classes. And then 0 to 5 gets this color, and anything above 5, that's 60 is the highest value in our data range, will get the transparent color, which again is 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go. So since we haven't changed the sizes of the points, it looks like we haven't done anything. So let's go into the radius property and let's make these smaller. I'm gonna go just make them smaller by 1. There we go. And now you can see that our red points in our first class are smaller than the points in our other classes. So basically, we have the exact same layer, just some parts of each layer are transparent, basically parts that we don't want to be symbolized with that specific point size. So I'm going to export this again and show you guys what it looks like in the JSON file. Okay, here is that style file. And we can look through and see, here's our layers property. We now have 2 layers within here. So this curly bracket shows this where this first layer starts and ends. So, and we can see the ID we gave it, regular points. And then scrolling this next curly bracket, you can see this ID is our small points. If we wanted to do this without going into the MapBox UI, let's return here. Like before, we can click this bracket and it will show us the beginning and the end. And so we can highlight everything. Uh-oh, see, I forgot. Yep. Okay. I'm going to copy all of this. And then right after that bracket, I'm going to put a comma, hit enter, and then paste. This is basically exactly what we did in the MapBox UI by duplicating that layer. So now I can go in and give these their own ID just for my own organization and for posterity. So since we have our old colors here, I'm going to have to update this to be the transparent HSLA. Like that. Copy and paste that for our first class. And then I'm going to go down here to our second layer and keep the color for our first class. And then for our second class, make that transparent. And basically it's every other value after that. So I'm just going to delete these and make this transparent as well. And then it's just a matter of editing point sizes. And there we go. So it's a little bit more involved, but not super complicated. So hopefully you'll be able to use this to make some beautiful web-based symbology.